love the no-tie look as well.
Thank you, Natalie.
It's a casual Friday.
It's casual Friday, and you've got orange. Can you see them there? There we go.
It's the only thing that fits at this point.
It's a little orange touch. Let's send it over to Mike Kaplan on this Orange Friday for the Orange Friday forecast. Look at,
I'm trying to represent.
Got a lot of orange.
I'm bringing. I got orange here. We got orange that. Can you guys show my shoes here? I've gone again with my fancy Orange Friday shoes. I'm probably throwing a curveball here to our camera computer, but
here we go.
Here we go. Here it comes.
Here we
go. Yeah. All right. So we are talking about Bears weather, and it's going to be pretty darn beary on Sunday night. I'll show you that forecast a little bit, but let's get through today. This is all snow. I've got the radar display here keyed up so that green is actually where the heaviest snow is falling, and you can see over parts of Lake, northern Cook, western DuPage, much of Kane County. That's where the snow is a little bit heavier. You can see in this corridor right here. And this is about to move over the city in about the next hour or so. And that's when conditions will likely deteriorate because right now, temperatures are still below freezing. We got 26 at Midway and O'Hare, 25 at Woodstock, snowing pretty good there. No snow yet in Merrillville, 24 at Valparaiso, but that snow is coming and it'll be with us mainly this morning. Can't rule out an afternoon snow shower, but most of the accumulation is going to happen here in about the next 4 hours or so. Not as cold. We'll get above freezing this afternoon, which is good news for the salt on the roadways. Should be very, very effective. All right, no snow coming down over at least the interior expressways the way it looks now, Gabriella. Any slowdowns or crashes? Just yet. And, you know, Mike, I'm going to be keeping an eye on some of these cameras that we have. Skyfox is down because of some of the snow that we have coming in. Here's a look at our traffic camera from 875 North Michigan, our Hancock camera. You can see the Kennedy gets moving smooth right now, around 30 minutes from O'Hare to downtown. But I want to take us over to our map where we see some of that precipitation kind of coming through. So over on the way northwest side, we'll keep an eye on this as it gets closer to our roads. As Mike said, you know, those trucks have been out in force making sure that our roads are salted. That's the good news, but still be careful on those untreated surfaces. I know you know how to drive during the snow, here in the snow, but still just be careful. It looks like we have a new crash icon here. That must have just came up as I was walking up. So I will give you an update on this, but your drive time is looking okay elsewhere too. Under 30 minutes right now on the Eisenhower, around 35 minutes on the Stevenson, 30 minutes on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange. Natalie and Anthony.
Thank you, Gabby. Bears fans fired up ahead of Sunday's playoff game against the Rams.
Roseanne Tejas has been out talking with fans and has more on what they are feeling emotions-wise ahead of Sunday's huge game.
We're at the mothership, Soldier Field, home of the Chicago Bears. Fans are getting so pumped up for this divisional playoff game on Sunday. Fandemonium in full swing. We've seen signs popping up all over the city.
Bear down, Chicago Bears. Fight for the mighty soldiers.
And then go to Monday, the Bears Monster Squad was getting fans revved up outside Union Station with the Leo High School Choir. They also handed out bling and offered up selfies with Staley the Bear. Just yesterday, the Monster Squad was added again outside the Merchandise Mart where the Caleb Williams Iceman cometh, a giant statue of Chicago's new hero. Bears merchandise, well, that's been flying off store shelves. In fact, one store told us their sales are up 500% from this time last year. Caleb Williams jerseys are a hot seller along with all the usual hats and other garb, plus the new #1 item, yep, the cheese grater hat. And who knew cheese graters would come in handy at Soldier Field one day? But you could thank Brandon Martinez for that idea. The fan scene shredding cheese from the stands, starting a whole new ritual for Bears-Packers games. Well, it is a little cold here today. Just a reminder that they're going to be dealing with some really cold temperatures on Sunday here at Soldier Field. But better for us, maybe not so good for them. Outside Soldier Field, Roseanne Tejas, Fox Chicago.
Thank you, Roseanne. She's always in a good mood no matter what the conditions. The Bears continue their preparations, meantime, for the Rams.
As Mike has said, going to be a cold one on Sunday, so the Bears hoping those conditions, Roseanne just mentioned, work in their favor. But Bears safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson was on the Eagles last year. They played the Rams in a snowy divisional round game. He is not taking much stock in the weather being a factor here.
They played in the snow last year in the divisional round, so, I mean, you got to, if we talking about weather, whoop-de-doo. Weather don't affect nobody, if you ask me. I feel like when it's winter, go home, that's what affects you more than the weather. I think when you go out there thinking about the climate of the game is like you're not focused on what's gonna get your team to the next level. So.
Yeah. All right, Fox Chicago, your spot for coverage of the Bears-Rams game Sunday, kicking off with Bears Game Day live at a special time. We're going on at 12:30. Now, after the game, you're going to want to come right back to Fox Chicago for all the post-game live coverage from the locker room. Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, and the rest of the hopefully celebration. Yeah.
Indiana moving a step closer to being the home of the Bears. Lawmakers unveiled legislation creating the Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority. It would be a public body acting as the de facto owner of any new Bears stadium. It would have 3 members and have the authority to issue bonds to buy land and finance construction, a major difference from the proposal in Arlington Heights. In a statement, the Bears say the legislation is a significant step. The team says in part, and I quote here, "We appreciate the leadership and responsiveness of Governor Braun and Indiana lawmakers in advancing a framework that allows these conversations to move forward productively."
President Trump is threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act as protests against ICE intensify up in Minneapolis. Tear gas filled the air as protesters clashed with agents right near a temporary ICE facility last night. Some demonstrators were seen trying to break down a chain-link fence in front of the building. Others swarmed a federal car, causing an agent inside to draw a gun. Using the Insurrection Act would allow President Trump to send the military to Minnesota or federalize National Guard troops, but only under certain conditions.
The local firm representing the family of Renee Good is now taking action. An ICE agent shot and killed her last week in Minneapolis. Homeland Security claims she hit an agent with her vehicle. Chicago civil rights attorney Anthony Romanucci is now launching an investigation into that. And speaking on our digital show, Chicago Live, he says the family deserves justice.
She was a mother, she was a daughter, she was a sister, a committed partner. She was an animal lover. She was a member of the PTA. She had many roles in her life, and none of them were the roles that the government said that she was right after this shooting occurred. So you can imagine her life being taken away in a split second and not having her, not having had the chance to say goodbye.
DHS is defending the agent's actions, claiming it was self-defense because Good was allegedly targeting an agent with her vehicle. You could watch the complete interview on fox32chicago.com. Protests in Iran over the country's economic crisis appear to have slowed down as the UN warns the regime that all options now are on the table. The UN Security Council held an emergency meeting yesterday at the request of the United States. The deputy Iranian ambassador to the UN blasted the U.S. for what he says is a, quote, direct involvement in steering unrest in Iran to violence. And here at home, a deadly school bus crash in suburban Manhattan is now raising safety concerns.
Residents there say that they have been warning local leaders about a certain intersection now for years. Brian is here in studio with the latest on what happened. Brian.
Fire officials say that the bus and vehicle collided at the intersection of Manhattan, Monee, and Kankakee Road on Thursday morning. 10 students from District 114 were on the bus. The driver of that vehicle died at the scene. Manhattan residents say that this intersection has been dangerous for a long time, that they have complained to the village, but nothing has changed.
All the time. I mean, there's accidents, not necessarily right here, but these intersections, we're always seeing flashing lights and emergency vehicles.
Several times a year.
Yeah, this year there's been more than usual. A lot of LifeStar flights. There was one recently over there, and there was another one over here a couple of months back.
The cause of that crash is still under investigation. Anthony?
All right, Brian, thank you for that update. There could be a new development coming to Lincoln Yards. The Chicago Department of Planning and Development approved a plan for the North Branch. It's called the Foundry Park. The proposal, it's $3 billion. It would have apartments, office, hotel space. This project could break ground this fall.
The sports buzz in Chicago is all about the Bears right now, but there will be plenty of Cubs fans downtown this weekend. The annual Cubs convention starts today. It is held at the Sheraton Grand Chicago through Sunday. Lots of sports excitement right now in the city.
Yeah, indeed. Most notably, hey, I really like the shirt. There you go.
Well, thank you. I tried to go as orange as possible.
As orange as possible. You succeeded.
I did. And you guys are not seeing maybe is the fact that Natalie's got on some cool blue boots.
Thank you,
which,
Mike.
going with the orange and blue combination.
Killer boots.
We're going to add maybe a little bit of white to the color scheme. Not just today, but maybe even Sunday evening. I put in a chance for a couple of snow showers in there for that game. So it's definitely looking wintry out there. Snow hasn't quite hit downtown, but it's on the way. Snow now actually showing up at O'Hare. So this is a pretty wintry forecast here. Keep the fire burning. Winter takes hold through next week. I mean, there'll be some ups and downs temperature-wise, but it's mostly down. Occasional snow today, tomorrow, and Sunday afternoon and evening. Obviously not snowing the whole time. Frigid air will be in place Saturday through Tuesday. I think all 4 of those days will have highs of 20 degrees or less, especially on the Martin Luther King holiday. 26 with light snow coming down now at O'Hare. We have a southwest wind at 11. The wind chill is 16 degrees. Temperatures will actually get above freezing this afternoon, so the salt's going to be very effective at kind of keeping our roads nice. 26 in Aurora, 29 at Joliet, 25 Woodstock, Waukegan in the lakefront, 25 at Merrillville and also Michigan City, where you don't have any snow yet. Winds pretty much straight out of the south. We're seeing some gusts of 20 plus at Kankakee and Gary. We'll see, I think, during the day, most of the winds will be between about 10 and 20 miles per hour. Wind chills mainly in the teens. Feels like 16 at O'Hare, Aurora, 13 at Woodstock, 16 at Gary. I'll show you the snow, where it is and where it's going in just a couple of minutes.
Thank you so much, Mike. A former DePaul University basketball players at the center of a new federal indictment exposing a point-shaving scheme. We'll have that when we come back.
It's Ashley's.
President Trump is threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act as protesters against ICE intensify in Minneapolis.
Tear gas filled the air in some neighborhoods as they clashed with agents. This happened right near a temporary ICE facility last night. Some demonstrators were seen trying to break down a chain link fence right in front of that building.
Indiana moving a step closer to being the home of the Bears. Lawmakers unveiled legislation creating the Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority. It would be a public body acting as the de facto owner of any new Bears stadium.
And the sports buzz in Chicago all about the Bears right now. However, there'll be plenty of Cubs fans downtown this weekend. It's the annual Cubs convention. That actually kicks off today. This is held at the Sheraton Grand Chicago through Sunday.
More than a dozen former college basketball players have been named in a federal indictment exposing a point-shaving scheme. and it has ties to Chicago. Prosecutors say the scheme was started by former Chicago Bulls player Antonio Blakeney and other associates. They allege rigged Chinese Basketball Association and NCAA games. And this includes 3 former players at DePaul, Jalen Terry, Deshaun Nelson, and Macabre Etienne. The involved college players were apparently making between $10,000 and $30,000 per game to underperform.
We're not talking the stars of the team here. The players that were targeted were more of the reserve players or rotation players who are making less money and more susceptible to bribes. They would then coordinate with their teams to underperform in the game, lose by more than Vegas and the odds makers anticipated them to lose by, and then ultimately make the fixers a lot of money when they were placing bets at casinos.
A DePaul spokesperson called the allegations deeply disappointing, confirming that no current student athletes were members of the 2023-2024 team. They also said, quote, the university has a long-standing commitment to educating our athletics community about the dangers and consequences of sports gambling.
U.S. forces in the Caribbean Sea have seized another sanctioned oil tanker that the White House says has ties to Venezuela. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said on social media the Coast Guard boarded the tanker without incident. There they are doing it. This is the 6th one captured as part of an American effort to take control of Venezuela's oil.
And Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado met with President Trump at the White House and presented him with her Nobel Peace Prize medal. She is hoping he will change his mind about backing her as the next leader of her country, following Nicolas Maduro's ouster. Trump has said Machado, though, lacks the support or respect of Venezuelans to be in charge. Right now, Maduro's former vice president is running the country.
Some of the massive protests in Iran may be fading now after an aggressive and bloody crackdown from the regime there.
But the U.S. could, though, still launch a military intervention. Douglas Ader live in Washington this morning with the latest there. Doug?
Good morning. And, you know, we've kind of seen head fakes before from the president when it comes to military action. So this could be just the calm before the storm. The street scenes in Tehran are almost startling. No protests in sight, with signs they are winding down across the country.
Did you hear me? Good for slashing.
And for the president, it looked like business as usual yesterday, hosting the Florida Panthers at the White House. But at the United Nations, a warning.
President Trump is a man of action, not endless talk like we see at the United Nations.
All options are on the table, even as the president seemed to back away from military intervention in Iran after the regime promised to halt executions of protesters. Those pushing for action say wait.
The headlines you see about President Trump lacking resolve are absolutely not accurate.
So keep a close eye on U.S. aircraft carriers, with one expected to now head toward the Middle East.
My strong suspicion is the president is waiting to get the correct military package in place.
But the president might not have to wait.
Yes, we could do it. We may not be able to do it at the scale we did before Ready, Set, Go, but I believe we could go in there, disrupt their command and control, shut down their ability to respond, and make significant strikes.
Okay, and in the meantime, it could take about a week for a carrier strike group to reach the Middle East. And back to you guys.
Keep us posted. Appreciate it, sir. Have a good weekend. All right, 6:18. Time to check in with Mike Kaplan for a look at this Friday. Sounds like it's going to be kind of stop and go with the snow today.
Yes, mostly go this morning. Then there'll be some stop, and then it'll go later this afternoon and this evening out there. So let's look at the snow that's falling out there right now. And again, just to avoid any confusion, I have the radar colors here set so that the heavier snow shows up a little bit more easily. Where you see the green, it's snowing a little bit harder. None of this is a blizzard, but it is snowing enough to coat things up and make things slippery. Just chatting with Gabby, and she's going to be talking about an accident, some of the northwest suburbs that very likely due to that snow. Now approaching the city, we've got some snow falling at O'Hare. So let's look at the futurecast here. When is it going to move out of here? I think we got about 4 to 5 hours of snow. By 10 o'clock, you know, most of this is done. It'll last a little bit longer in northwest Indiana and close to the lake. And during the afternoon, especially early on, not much going on. But 4:30, you see, instead of a great big blob of blue, here we've got hit and miss snow showers. That will continue into the early evening. Then we're done for a while. During the day tomorrow, yeah, maybe a snow shower here or there. I just don't think there's much going on. 4 o'clock, you see a little bit of snow headed toward the city. This will continue into the evening. Then it's done. So it's kind of wave after wave of snow coming through here, probably enough to accumulate roughly an inch or so on top of what came down overnight, which is about a ½ inch. But we'll get to 35 degrees. That'll promote a little bit of melting here later today. All right. Gabriella, where is that crash in Lake County?
You know, Mike, and it seems like it's a minor crash, but it's still good to report. It's over in Antioch, so right next to the Cheddar Curtain here, as you refer to it. It's Route 83 and North Avenue. Yeah, so it's not really impacting traffic all that much, but I did want to show you a picture because we didn't have, Lake County didn't have a camera in that intersection, but it does just south of this over by Antioch Lake. So here's a look at that intersection. You could see it's snow covered. Remember, we got that snow, what was it, on Wednesday? So a little bit of, you know, effects from that, and then we're getting more snow, you know, as it is with flurries falling in Lake County right now. So please be extra careful, especially at some intersections like this where you don't know if the other person's able to stop fully or right away. And then I want to take you kind of all the way to the other side of our map over in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana. This is westbound on I-80 where you see all this traffic, these red lights as people slam on their brakes because there's a crash near Kennedy Avenue. It's unclear how many lanes it's blocking. I'll try to get more information on this, but the eastbound side looks like it's unaffected. Also, before I left my last report, we saw that icon pop up on the Edens. It was northbound right after the junction there. That has been cleared. It was just a vehicle over on the right ditch. I'll send it back to you for now and keep you updated.
Okay, thanks for the update there, Gabby. President Trump unveils a new health care plan he wants Congress to consider, but it is already being met with criticism.
And it is Orange Friday here on Good Day Chicago. We are celebrating the Bears, and here are photos that you sent in of your Bears gear.
In at the right time, it's brighten up your day like the skyline. Yeah, you tuned in to Good Day Chicago, cause we about to have a good day, Chicago. You're tuning in at the right time, it's brighten up your day like the skyline. I'm on.
Welcome back. Here's a live look over the city. Going to be kind of a stop and go snow day here in our Friday, our Orange Friday. Although Mike says it's not going to accumulate too much throughout the day. Hope your Friday morning's off to a great start. To the news now. President Trump unveiling a new health care proposal. This cornerstone of the plan is sending money directly to Americans, he says, to go to health savings accounts. People can then decide on their insurance coverage and health costs as they see fit. Now, critics call this an inadequate replacement for expired Affordable Care Act subsidies.
If this plan is put in place, every single American who has health care in the United States will see lower costs as a result. They will see more transparency.
The White House did not offer any details about how much money would be sent to consumers to shop for insurance. Still not clear whether any lawmakers in Congress are working to introduce the plan.
Too much screen time for kids was a focus of a hearing on Capitol Hill. There's a bipartisan push to crack down on how much time kids spend on those devices. The bill would set a minimum age of 13 to use social media. Addictive algorithms would be banned. Experts see a rise in behavior issues as well as depression and suicide attempts.
Apps are deliberately engineered to hook kids, to keep them clicking, scrolling, and coming back.
More than half of the time that a teenager is awake, he or she is staring at a screen.
The bipartisan bill would also cut federal funding to schools that do not block social media and harmful content. And since Australia's social media ban for anyone under the age of 16 went into effect, nearly 5 million social media accounts have been deactivated, removed, or restricted. This is according to Australia's Prime Minister. The ban went into effect on December 10th. Tech companies are required to implement age verification and other methods to keep children off their apps or face fines up to $32 million.
Verizon customers affected by this week's massive outage can now get some money back. The wireless carrier says those affected can accept a $20 credit on the My Verizon app. Company is not sharing exactly what went wrong here, only saying that there was some sort of software issue.
FIFA says it has received more than 500 million ticket requests for the upcoming World Cup tournament. I know Anthony was planning on attending, but good luck, buddy. Right. Some ticket prices exceeded $8,000, but after heavy criticism, FIFA said last month it will offer $60 tickets. FIFA said it will notify people about their ticket applications no earlier than February 5th and will allocate them randomly for matches in which demand exceeds availability.
We'll keep our fingers crossed on that one. Kansas City, I think, is the closest location, so it's a little bit of a trek there. All right, the LA Dodgers continue to spend big. They've got deep pockets on that team. They are reportedly signing former Cub Kyle Tucker, spent a season in Chicago. This deal is said to be worth $240 million over 4 years. The Dodgers are coming off a second straight World Series title. And Chicago is buzzing ahead of another Bears playoff game this weekend. Look at the ice sculpture, the Iceman right there, popping up in a few spots downtown. Yeah, it's named the Iceman, honoring Caleb Williams and his late game heroics. Staley the Bear and Bears alum Anthony Spice Adams were at the sculpture yesterday on the Merchandise Mart Plaza. They were handing out Bears gear to passersby. Mike, isn't that nice?
That's very nice.
That's very nice.
And completely appropriate. There's going to be an Iceman somewhere at Soldier Field on Sunday night because it's going to be in the teens with a wind chill near zero. You know, some dude's going to take off the shirt in the middle of the game and they'll get a shot of him in the game. All right, we have snow falling across most of Chicagoland at kind of an inopportune time, hitting during the rush hour. It's not going to be that much, but it will cover the ground, maybe an inch or so on the way. And that's not the last snow that we'll see here through the weekend. I've got the complete forecast, including the Bears game night forecast straight ahead.
Well, welcome back, 6:30 on your Orange Friday. We appreciate you kicking off your day with us.
And here's some of the top stories we're following for you this morning. Protests intensify in Minneapolis after President Trump threatens to invoke the Insurrection Act.
Lawmakers in Indiana are taking steps toward luring the Chicago Bears out of Chicago with an offer to pay for a new stadium.
City of Chicago buzzing ahead of Sunday's playoff game against the Rams. What Bears fans are saying this morning.
And let's find out what Mike Kaplan is saying this morning about the weather situation. It's going to be a little touch and go out there, a little stop and go.
Yeah, we have snow coming down across most of the area now. If it's not snowing where you are, it's about to, and if it is now, it won't be snowing that long. I like to use the visibility map to kind of give me and you an idea where the snow is coming down the hardest and where the lower numbers are, north and west of the city. That's where the snow is falling a little bit more heavily. We have a mile visibility at Woodstock and Rockford, 1.5 miles at Waukegan, and we've dropped it down to 2 at O'Hare, where we're seeing 10 miles of visibility. It's not snowing, yet. Here's the radar, and you can see the snow area spreading in from the west. The heaviest snow showing up in green here. That'll last for a couple of hours. Then things are going to kind of die off. But temperatures are below freezing, so the snow that's falling is sticking. We've got 26 at O'Hare, Midway in the lakefront, 25 at Woodstock, where it's snowing pretty good, 24 at Valparaiso. No snow for you yet, other than the snow that came down late last night. So let's get it over here. Oh, we're going up there, not far from my territory there. Yeah, you've got us at Rosecrans Road there, the Tri-State.
You're right, Mike. Yeah, you can see the Tri-State underneath. This is the the overpass here, but you can see those snow-covered roads and then also the snow now falling. I'm kind of focusing north because when we still are in kind of these dark hours, the cameras from the northwest side aren't working as well, so I'll grab those very soon because the Jane Addams is also being impacted right now by some of the snow that we're seeing. So yeah, you know, people going slow in this area. We're seeing a lot of those plows, salt trucks out in Lake County right now. And then another one just closer to the city, Lake Cook Road. You could see it. The roads start to get wet in this area as well. No crashes to report over on our northern side, other than over in Antioch. I told you North Avenue and Route 83. There's a minor crash. Here's some of the road temperatures. You could see where blue indicates where we have, you know, kind of cold roads, I guess, for lack of better words, but you can see 24 degrees on most of our areas right now, which is good for salt. That means the salt's going to be working a little bit better. Under 20 degrees is where we start to get worried. So at least we can kind of hope on that. We have that crash on the westbound side of I-80-94 near Kennedy Avenue. That's blocking just the right shoulder, so not a lane anymore, but still some stop-and-go traffic as you head your way into the city. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Gabby. Bears fans fired up ahead of Sunday's playoff game against the Rams.
Roseanne Tellez has more on all the excitement this morning.
We're at the mothership, Soldier Field, home of the Chicago Bears. Fans are getting so pumped up for this divisional playoff game on Sunday. Fandemonium in full swing. We've seen signs popping up all over the city.
Bear down, Chicago Bears.
Monday, the Bears Monster Squad was getting fans revved up outside Union Station with the Leo High School Choir. They also handed out bling and offered up selfies with Staley the Bear. Just yesterday, the Monster Squad was added again outside the Merchandise Mart where the Caleb Williams Iceman cometh, a giant statue of Chicago's new hero. Bears merchandise, well, that's been flying off store shelves. In fact, one store told us their sales are up 500% from this time last year. Caleb Williams jerseys are a hot seller along with all the usual hats and other garb, plus the new #1 item, yep, the cheese grater hat. And who knew cheese graters would come in handy at Soldier Field one day? But you could thank Brandon Martinez for that idea. The fan scene shredding cheese from the stands, starting a whole new ritual for Bears-Packers games. Well, it is a little cold here today. Just a reminder that they're going to be dealing with some really cold temperatures on Sunday here at Soldier Field. But better for us, maybe not so good for them. Outside Soldier Field, Roseanne Tellez, Fox Chicago.
Thank you, Roseanne. And the Bears continue their preparations for the Rams.
Indeed, as Mike has said, going to be a cold one on Sunday. Bears hoping the conditions work in their favor. However, Bears safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson was on the Eagles last year. They played the Rams in a snowy divisional round game. And he is not taking too much stock in the weather being a factor here at all.
He played in the snow last year in the divisional round. So, I mean, you got to, if we talking about weather, whoop-de-doo. Weather don't affect nobody, if you ask me. I feel like when it's winter, go home, that's what affects you more than the weather. I think when you go out there thinking about the climate of the game, it's like you're not focused on what's going to get your team to the next level. So,
Fox Chicago is your spot for coverage of the Bears game on Sunday, kicking off with Bears Game Day Live, a special time for us that day. 12:30 p.m. is when things kick off, and then after the game, come right back over here to Fox Chicago for Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, all the locker room reaction.
Indiana moving a step closer to being the home of the Bears. Lawmakers unveiled legislation creating the Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority. It would be a public body acting as the de facto owner of any new Bears stadium. It would have 3 members and would have the authority to issue bonds and buy land and finance construction, a major difference from the proposal in Arlington Heights. In a statement, the Bears say the legislation is a significant step. The team says in part, and I quote here, "We appreciate the leadership and responsiveness of Governor Braun and Indiana lawmakers in advancing a framework that allows these conversations to move forward productively."
All right. President Trump threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act as protests against ICE intensify up in Minneapolis. Tear gas filled the air. Look at that as protesters clashed with agents that's right near a temporary ICE facility last night. Some of the demonstrators were seen trying to break down a chain link fence right in front of that building. Others swarmed a federal car, apparently causing an agent inside to draw a gun. Now, using the Insurrection Act would allow President Trump to send the military to Minnesota or to federalize National Guard troops. However, he could only do that under certain conditions.
The local firm representing the family of Renee Goodnow is taking action. An ICE agent shot and killed her last week in Minneapolis. Homeland Security says she attempted to run an agent over with her vehicle. Civil rights attorney Anthony Romanucci is now launching an investigation. And speaking on our digital show, Chicago Live, he says the family deserves justice.
She was a mother, she was a daughter, she was a sister, a committed partner. She was an animal lover. She was a member of the PTA. She had many roles in her life, and none of them were the roles that the government said that she was right after this shooting occurred. So you can imagine her life being taken away in a split second and not having her, not having had the chance to say goodbye.
DHS is defending the agent's actions, claiming it was self-defense. And you can watch the complete interview right now on fox32chicago.com. Protests in Iran over the country's economic crisis appear to have slowed down as the UN warns the regime that all options are now on the table. The UN Security Council held an emergency meeting yesterday at the request of the United States. The deputy Iranian ambassador to the UN blasted, though, the U.S. for what he says is a, quote, direct involvement in steering unrest in Iran to violence. A deadly school bus crash in suburban Manhattan is raising safety concerns.
Residents there say that they have been warning local leaders about the particular intersection where this happened for years now. Brian is in studio with the very latest. Brian?
Fire officials say that the bus and vehicle collided at the intersection of Manhattan-Monee and Kankakee Road yesterday morning. 10 students from District 114 were on the bus. The driver of the vehicle died at the scene. Manhattan residents say that this intersection has been dangerous for a long time. And even though that they've made constant complaints to the village, nothing has changed.
I mean, there's accidents, not necessarily right here, but these intersections, we're always seeing flashing lights and emergency vehicles.
Several times a year.
Yeah, this year there's been more than usual. A lot of Lifestar flights. There was one recently over there, and there was another one over here a couple months back.
The cause of that crash is still being investigated. Anthony?
Okay, Brian, thank you. There could be a new development coming to Lincoln Yards. We've said this before, it didn't pan out. Here's the current situation. The Chicago Department of Planning and Development approved a plan for the North Branch. The Foundry Park, as it's called, this is a proposal that's in the price tag range of $3 billion. It would have apartments, office space, hotel space, and this project could break ground this fall.
The sports buzz in Chicago is, of course, all about the Bears right now, but there will be plenty of Cubs fans downtown this weekend. The annual Cubs convention starts today. It's held at the Sheraton Grand Chicago through Sunday. And what a great indoor activity to enjoy this weekend, Mike.
And look, it's not that long before pitchers and catchers report. I mean, you know, we are mid-January, but it finally feels like January out there. We've got snow, we've got cold, and I think some of the coldest temperatures are going to be when kids will be off of school for the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday on Monday, so they can stay inside and maybe not have to deal with the extreme cold. Here's the deal. Speaking of cold, you know who's got to deal with the cold? Well, anybody who's in the stands at Soldier Field, but both teams. And hopefully, the cold weather town team is going to be able to cope with this better. I have gone ahead and put in some snow showers into the forecast for Sunday evening. I've had them in, I've had them out. Looks pretty good now for at least a little bit of snow, not a big storm. It's going to be breezy and cold. 18 to kick off, 15 at halftime, 14 for the final score, and it will be frozen Rams once the Bears put the ice on them. 26 degrees now and snowing at O'Hare. We have a southwest wind at 10, so the wind chill is 16 degrees. Make sure you or your kids bundled up appropriately, even though later today it'll get a couple degrees above freezing. 29 at Joliet, 28 at Morris, 27 at Gary. Waukegan snowing pretty hard, 25 degrees there. You know, this is not going to be a long duration event. This isn't as heavy as the snow we had a couple of mornings ago, but it is still rather breezy out there. Many locations with near 20-mile-an-hour winds, including that 19-mile-an-hour wind there at O'Hare. Wind chills mainly in the teens. Hat and gloves recommended. We have 1.5 mile visibility now at O'Hare, Waukegan, a little bit less farther to the north, suggesting that that's where some of the heavier snow is coming down, and that shows up here in green on our radar view. Some of that heavier snow about to hit the city, so be careful out there driving. Natalie?
Thank you, Mike. Plenty more to come here on Good Day Chicago. Another betting scandal, this time impacting college basketball players. At 7, we're talking with the director of sports management at Loyola University about the impact of this. And there's a huge demand for tickets for the World Cup. What FIFA is saying about that. And CHGO sports host Mark Harmon joins us after the break to talk about the Sunday's big playoff game at Soldier Field. Anthony?
All right, Natalie, it is Orange Friday here on Good Day Chicago. And here is another little gallery of some of the photos you all have been sending in to us, which we always appreciate. Looking so great in your Bears gear. Gonna need to bundle up like those guys this Sunday if you're headed to Soldier Field. Huge game. Bear down. We'll be right back.
Energize me, wake me up, gon' make
right, we are less than 3 days away from another playoff game at Soldier Field. The Bears looking to advance to the NFC Championship game, but they got to get past the Rams. CHGO Sports host Mark Carman joins me again. Mark, so we're talking about weather possibly having an impact on this game. More on that in a little bit. Here's what I've seen. It's almost like a mutual admiration society. You got, Dennis Allen talking about, oh yeah, Matt Stafford's fantastic. You got Sean McVay praising Caleb Williams. Kind of like a love fest compared with the antipathy with the Packers. Are you seeing that same thing?
That's interesting. You've got, first, let's start with the two head coaches, both 39 years old. Sean McVay, maybe the most respected head coach in the NFL, was hired as a head coach when he was 31 years old with the Rams, and now him and Ben Johnson are the same age, and they're going against each other, and they've met in the playoffs. Ben's won, as an offensive coordinator with Detroit, and so there's a lot of connections there, and Matt LaFleur's brother is on McVay's staff, and so who knows what those conversations are this week. So, yeah, there is a lot of respect between the two. It is different. You're not going to see a blow-off handshake at the end of this game, no matter what happens. All that's going on. But it's football, and by the time they crash into each other to start it at 5:30 Sunday, I'm sure the hatred will be boiling because they want to win the game.
Is there a chance that because of so much emotion going into that Packers game, could the Bears be drained? Do they not have enough oomph after all that? How do you get up for this one?
So, right, it's a playoff game, and you would think that there's no way they're not going to be up to play in the divisional round against a great team at home. But I actually do wonder about it because, nobody thought the Bears were going to win 11 games. Nobody thought the Bears were going to come back last week. And to beat your rival and just to have, it felt like a Super Bowl last week at Soldier Field. So, I just think human nature in general, you might take your foot off the gas pedal just unconsciously, right?
Yeah.
Like this is not something, they're preparing, they're getting ready, all the things. But there is some, look, no matter what happens on Sunday, any logical person would say the Bears have had an incredibly successful season. So they want to keep going. Ben Johnson, at the end of the regular season, in a very emotional locker room, was basically screamed at the team, saying like, "Hey, if you're not coming to work on Monday for 5 weeks, don't show up." So that's his vision. But I do wonder if just a little bit, even with the fan base too. Like the Bears are going to need the fans to come out and rock Soldier Field. I'm sure they will. But the last week was a big deal. So it is something I think that maybe they're talking about to pay attention to, just to get ready and have every bit of emotion needed to go out and win on Sunday.
What about the role of special teams here this weekend? We've talked a lot about, their offense, what Caleb can do. What are you looking for here on the special teams side, Mark?
So I just think it's interesting. Chase Blackburn was their special teams coordinator. He got fired in the middle of the year. That doesn't happen on every team. The Rams are allowing 16 yards per punt return. That's significant. And Devin Duvernay has had some big time moments returning kicks this year. He saved the game in Minnesota. If you remember that, he had a 56-yard return, which put him into range, and Cairo knocked it through. Cairo's been fantastic. The Rams have had field goals blocked. They've had punts blocked. They've lost games because of this. And in a playoff game, in the win, when there's a million factors out there, getting some extra yards, making the big kicks, all of that could come into play on Sunday, and the Bears have been very good at it.
All right, quickly, injury-wise, C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Kyler Gordon, full participants yesterday, but I hear a couple of our receivers were not. They were limited. We're expecting everybody to play, though, right? Other than the two that got injured last week.
We are, Rome's been dealing with the foot injury all year long. I don't think he's going to be, back to himself till next season, but I expect him to be out there. Same thing with DJ Moore has battled some knee stuff too, but I would expect DJ to be good to go. That guy's as tough as they come. So look, you are going to need another big game from Colston Loveland, but more importantly, with everything you're dialing up, and by the way, you're doing a great job, Mike Kaplan, with the weather. Keep inching those temperatures down. This is big. Yeah. Let's get the run game going back full effect here. If you can get, call it 125 yards combined with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, I think that would go a long way to keeping the offense on the field, keeping Matthew Stafford off the field, and helping the Bears get a victory here. But, you know, the passing game will have to be there too. But I wouldn't expect 360 yards like you saw from Caleb again this week.
No. Mark Carman, we appreciate your thoughts here this morning, and we look forward to talking to you maybe, early next week as we gear up for the, conference championship game. Thanks,
That's
buddy.
how we end our playoff hits here, Mike Calvin. Fingers are crossed. Let's go.
Outstanding. Mark Carman from CHGO Sports. Natalie?
Thank you, gentlemen. President Trump threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act. Its protests continue against ICE in Minneapolis.
Tear gas filled the air. Look at this. As protesters clashed with several agents right near a temporary ICE facility last night. Demonstrators were seen trying to break down a chain-link fence in front of that building.
Indiana taking a step closer to being the home of the Chicago Bears. Lawmakers unveiled legislation creating the Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority. It would be a public body acting as the de facto owner of any new Bears stadium.
The sports buzz in Chicago, all about the Bears, of course, right now. However, there's going to be a lot of Cubs fans downtown this weekend because it is the annual Cubs convention. That starts today. This is going on at the Sheraton Grand, Chicago. It's happening through Sunday, game day.
But before all that, Anthony, we've got some snow to get through potentially today. Tell us all about it, Mike.
Yeah, snow is falling now over much of Chicagoland. And as I mentioned earlier, if you don't have it yet, it is coming. I know you don't have anything in Northwest Indiana other than the snow that came down overnight. Where the green is showing up here is where the snow's a little bit heavier, but none of this is as heavy and squally as the snow we had a couple of mornings ago. But this is still falling with temperatures below freezing, and that means it's going to be covering the roads here. We have another few hours of snow here, but I think by about 10, 11 o'clock, this stuff is zipping on out of here. But we're not quite done with the snow. While the system will be gone, there will be some scattered snow showers kind of peppering the area late this afternoon and even into the early evening hours. Those could be accompanied by brief visibility reductions, but the minimal additional accumulation. I think we get about an inch here this morning. Tomorrow, there could once again be a snow shower here or there. It is not going to be what I would consider a snowy day. I think any additional accumulations tomorrow will be exceptionally light. But the new wrinkle here is Sunday, looking a little bit more promising for a light accumulating snow around here. So I've put that into the forecast. 35 today. This is the warmest of the next 7. Maybe another inch of snow around this morning. Some spotty snow showers late this afternoon, early this evening, and then it gets cold. Low of 15. Speaking of cold, here you go. Saturday through Tuesday, highs 20 or colder. 12, that's it for the King holiday. We'll get out of the deep freeze Wednesday and Thursday with highs not far from freezing. All right, Gabriella, I can tell from that camera shot it's snowing. What do we see there?
It is snowing, Mike, and it's annoying because this is just the right amount for it not to be too crazy for your commute, not a whole bunch of snow dropping, but just enough to really impact your morning commute here. I have brand new information. I was checking, some of our sources, and it looks like there is a ground stop at O'Hare until 8 a.m. due to snow and ice. I'll give you more information about that. But taking a look at our Rosemont camera, the visibility has gone down quite a bit, as Mike has been saying. This typically you can see the ramp going from the Tri-State, the Jane Addams over to the O'Hare terminals, and you can't even see that long 190 ramp that takes you to O'Hare as the last 30 seconds. I was just looking at it. I could clearly see the car lights going through. So yes, some snow falling definitely on our northwest side. Another look at a recent camera from the Jane Addams at Roselle Road, because I told you I wanted to take a look at here. On the northwest side, you can see wet roads. Luckily, we've seen those trucks out in force salting the roads, and that road temperature seems like widespread is around 24 degrees. We don't want to see that go below 20 degrees. Let's take a look at our drive times. As the snow gets closer, we're going to see this bump up. 35 minutes on the Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown, 40 minutes on the Eisenhower and on the Stevenson. We had an earlier crash on the Eisenhower near Harlem. That has been cleared. 40 minutes right now on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange. Anthony, I'll keep you updated.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, Gabby. President Trump is unveiling a new health care proposal, and the cornerstone of the plan would be to send money directly to Americans to go to health savings accounts, those HSAs. People could then decide on their insurance coverage and health costs as they see fit. Critics call this an inadequate replacement for the expired Affordable Care Act, those enhanced subsidies which went away.
If this plan is put in place, every single American who has health care in the United States will see lower costs as a result. They will see more transparency.
The White House did not offer any details about how much money would be sent to consumers to shop for insurance, and it is not clear whether any lawmakers in Congress are working to formally introduce the plan.
FIFA says it has received more than 500 million ticket requests for the upcoming World Cup tournament. Some ticket prices exceeded $8,000, but after heavy criticism, FIFA said it will offer $60 tickets. They made that announcement last month. FIFA said it will notify people about their ticket applications no earlier than February 5th and will allocate them randomly for matches in which demand exceeds availability.
All right, the LA Dodgers continue to spend big. They are reportedly signing former Cub Kyle Tucker, spent one season in Chicago, and his deal is said to be 4 years, $240 million. And the Dodgers are coming off a second straight World Series championship.
City of Chicago buzzing ahead of another Bears playoff game this weekend, and ice sculptures popping up in a few spots downtown, courtesy of the Bears. Take a look at this one. This is called Iceman, honoring Caleb Williams. Staley the Bear and Bears alum Anthony Spice Adams were at the sculpture yesterday on Merchandise Mart Plaza, handing out Bears gear to passing fans.
I like it.
Those are really
I like
well
it.
done, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
We have plenty more Good Day Chicago after the break. Keep it right here.
Yeah, it's Orange Friday as well. But before we do take that break, here are some more of your photos that you have been sending in, showing that team pride. Going to need all of that heading into Sunday's big game against the Rams. Bear down. We'll be right back for our 7 o'clock hour.